We have an awesome show for you today. We're going to talk about the scrapped Bray Wyatt storyline that came up in the news a couple of weeks ago. We're going to talk about this and where it fit in with the video game itself and how it played into a lot of the delays of the game that we initially saw. Let's get into all of this and give you the breakdown right now. Hey everybody, welcome back to Assemble. I'm Matt. Great to have you here on the show. It's the weekend. It's WrestleMania weekend. Today we're going to talk about that scrap storyline that featured Bray Wyatt. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because so many people in the community are massive Bray Wyatt fans. All over my Twitter timeline and online, people are upset that Bray Wyatt was not in the video game, that there are a ton of creations out there, and the community creations for Bray Wyatt have been spectacular. His entrance is in the game, his moves. You can make the Fiend Bray Wyatt in the game. We also have Alexa Bliss playing around Fiend Alexa Bliss in the game as well. All the signs pointed to, along with other released superstars, all the signs pointed to Bray Wyatt being in the game and being kind of a central figure within the game as well. Now, this news that we're going to talk about is a little bit old, but I still wanted to be able to get it out there and to be able to talk with all of you and get your thoughts on it, because that's the important piece here. A lot of us have been playing through MyRise, your career mode, taking that star, your MA Knight if you're me, and taking them across that journey, and it's fun. MyRise is fun. It's not great, it's not polished, it's goofy storylines. There's glitches up and down the wazoo of this thing. The voice acting in it is literally phoned in. Like, it sounds like people are on webcams or their cell phones doing the audio there. But according to multiple sources, Bray Wyatt was supposed to have a pretty in-depth story arc piece that would only make sense within MyRise. According to multiple sources, and we're going to take ours from Game Rant, WWE 2K22 storyline would have involved The Fiend and Dana Brooke. Twitter account WrestleTracker sent out a tweet detailing a supposed storyline that was supposedly meant for Bray Wyatt after WrestleMania 37 and the angle where he betrayed Alexa Bliss. The idea behind the storyline was there was going to be some betrayal and Dana Brooke was going to become the Fiend. Now, Wyndham Rotunda himself clarified this in a tweet and said that this was not part of an actual WWE storyline. This was for the video game. The article continues to talk about how there's data mining efforts that confirmed that Bray Wyatt was supposed to be in 2K22. But he was removed from the game. Now, if we go back a little bit, Bray Wyatt's initial release from WWE was reported as of July 31st, 2021. And if you also follow the timeline of the video game itself, right around the time of SummerSlam, 2K announced that they were going to delay the video game, to not release it in the typical frame of the October season. They delayed it to March of 2022. And I'm not saying that the one storyline of Bray Wyatt impacted the whole delay of the video game. I believe that it is one factor of the delay of the video game. We heard about the rumblings of strenuous relationship between 2K and WWE. At the time in 2021, WWE was cleaning house a lot. Adam Cole, Bray Wyatt, Bryan Danielson. There were a ton of superstars that were released or let go, or the contract was up, and a lot of shuffling was being done. And if this Fiend storyline was to be in MyRise, I can see it not just being a couple of cutscenes, I could see it being quite a large story piece that they were gonna go with. Between Dana Brooke, Bray Wyatt, your creative superstar, and it might have even been a pretty pivotal point within the female story arc with your custom creative superstar. This can also explain why MyRise is a little clunky. It's not very polished. Now, in previous years, it's never been that polished. You're taking your custom creative superstar, you're putting them in all these wacky little scenarios, trying to get to the very top of WWE. But it starts to explain why and how the releases of certain superstars did in fact impact the game. Now, that doesn't explain how there's a ton of bugs that we're still facing within the game from universe mode and GM mode, community creations, and so on. But it does explain that 2K had to do a lot of shuffling and reorganizing, rejigging with the video game, from supposed NXT packs to the Bray Wyatt storylines. And if you're needing to cut that, take that out of the game, or you had planned a significant portion of the video game within the storyline piece and a lot of design and effort going into all of that, you could see that by scrapping all of that and needing to insert new storylines or new aspects of the game, or needing to patch and remove and so on, could definitely lead to them needing to delay the video game to the March date that we have. And like I said, we have seen the community creations of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Firefly Funhouse Bray all in the game, on top of other stars that we've seen with their entrances, like Adam Cole is in the game. I really wish that 2K would have been able to stick to their guns and go forward with their initial plan. I would have been really curious to know what the finalized version of the game in their eyes would have been had it not been for delays and release superstars and having to remove stars from the video game. So what do you all think? If Bray Wyatt's Sheen storyline was still in the game, would it have been just a couple of cutscenes in MyRise? Do you think this really impacted the video game for where we see it today? And what do you think, and this is the big one, what do you think 2K, assuming they are continuing the relationship and they are taking on the WWE franchise for the video games going forward, for future 2K games with WWE, what do they need to do in order to protect themselves, in order to avoid these situations when it comes to DLC packs, release superstars, and potential stories that they want to build into the game itself? Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below all of your thoughts on all of this stuff. And if you guys enjoy this episode, check out this one right here because we have more WWE 2K22 coverage for you. And I will see you all on the next episode.